be looking at my tier list, early impressions of the meta. This is actually just an old tier list that I had lying around for KF2. So now we're going to look at KF2 Community Edition. First off, I'll just put the abilities that haven't been changed down here real quick. So that includes Parasol, Artist, or they haven't been fully changed, I should say, because some have received, minor changes. I think that's about it. If I go through and I see another one, we'll kind of get into it. We'll start off with the Meta Knight, who is my main in KF2. I think he's incredible still. Obviously not as, oh, I could just choose to leave when I want, as before, but he still has a really good double jump, so it's really good combos. Pressure can catch a lot of things. Still has pretty good range, decent range. So I'll put him up at the top for now. I still think he's the best in the game. Although the rest of the cast kind of got pulled up to around where he is or where his level is. I do not think, maybe he's not as good as this, but for now this is where I have him. He still seems extremely strong. We'll see. Maybe it'll change in the future. As for Magalore, I think Magalore is a character that's still good, not to the insane point that he was before. I think he just was pretty crazy. He was like on the tier with Meta Knight, just those two by themselves. He can't really get away that much anymore. I think his strengths were made better, but he just struggles a little bit more now when he actually gets touched. When you actually get in, then you do get, your proper reward, and he can't always get away that easily. But he's still a solid character, for sure. Let's go over Water as well. I think Water is a character that is hard to pinpoint. I think Water is still extremely strong. There's a few matchups where I think Water will struggle at, like, Whip, maybe Bandana Dee a little bit, where they just, like, have that range advantage, but also, D has better frame data, Whip has, like, tippers, and Water doesn't have dash turn to the extent that it was in Kirby Fighters 2 Vanilla. Regardless, auto cancel water balls I think will mitigate a lot of that. So I still think Water is extremely strong. Around where Meta Knight is where I put him now. Like, he's still like top tier in my opinion. But yeah, I think he's really solid. For GUI, I'll place him right around here. I think GUI is one of the weaker abilities currently in the game. I don't actually think we need an S plus tier. So let me just like change this real quick, or an S minus tier rather. I'll delete this. So we just have this. I still think the abilities in C tier are fine. You got to remember that this is a much more balanced cast in general. So you'll just have a lot more freedom to work with all the characters, and all of them are pretty much viable, which is good, which is really, really good. What was I going to say? Oh, right. Talking about GUI, I do not think he's super good. He still, like, has solid stuff. It's just he can't really laser camp anymore. GUI Rock, you can't use it as much because it does have a fixed, like a shield timer. So you kind of struggle a little bit with that. Trying to get out of pressure, even though he got a little bit better frame data. My opinion of him could change. Could become like up to B tier, I think, even. But for now, I do think he's one of the weaker characters in the cast. And again, a very extremely balanced cast in my opinion overall. But he'll still be fine. Wrestler, I still think Wrestler is fine around maybe like bottom of B tier. The problem with Wrestler is that now you have to mix up to get your damage. You still have very strong throws and whatever, but you do need that extra oomph factor. And Wrestler kind of has to struggle a little bit more, just in general, despite the fact that he has another way to get in, which is the plancha changes. Also, I just realized that Beetle is also not changed, so we'll move that down. You thought I was gonna be like, hey, by the way, Beetle's finished. Nope, we still haven't worked on Beetle. That's fine. So yeah, Wrestler for now. I'll put him like maybe at the bottom of B tier, maybe like middle. We'll put him like middle in a B tier for now. We'll see how it works out. I'll kind of rearrange things after I order them. Uh, Bell also is unchanged, so let's put that down here. All right, Fighter. Fighter is extremely strong. I think Fighter was given a couple of balances where it's a little bit of a nerf, like Hadoukens have less shield stun, things like that. Um, so that's cool and all. Only problem is that Fighter actually got some really important buffs, like getting his flip kick, kind of like a Mario up air. We'll kind of go more into it in the Fighter early look, which should be coming soon. But I'm really excited for this character. I think he's going to be extremely scary, even though some of his other stuff was toned down a little bit, like his damage output from Shoryuken and things like that. But just in general, the character is a lot more versatile now, especially with double jump canceling in the mix. So I'll put him in S tier for now. I think he's really really good. Ninja is a character I don't think actually changed that much. I think he's still a little bit below Magalore right now, but not by too much. Um, like I think Ninja has improved from where he was in KF2, because obviously he has like the down kunai, the double jump canceling, so he's a better character. But even then, Magalore is still better. Ninja is a character that inherently did not change that much. He does get out of pressure better. He can get better follow ups. So I think he'll overall have a good time, still remaining a solid A tier. Uh, yeah, so not much more to say about Ninja. It's just yeah, he's good. He's a good character. Still difficult. I still would not recommend using Ninja unless you really like the cool factor, or you want to struggle without getting proper reward for it, because Meta Knight and Water are still better. And here comes the controversial character. Ooh, this is a spicy one. Cutter. Everyone's saying Cutter's S plus tier. Nerf Cutter. I think Cutter is fine. I do not think Cutter's as good as people make him out to be. Uh, like Hyper Cutter is extremely strong. Whatever. Character is so hard to play. You need to have your attention focused on like three different places at once to use him properly. I think he can be optimized to be S tier. I do not think he's the best in the game. I think Fighter, Water, and Meta Knight are all better. Not by too much. And I might see Cutter again as S tier, like I said, if optimized. For now, I'll just put him in A, like top of A. A very, very good character, just by having the hard walls change, and by removing the weird buffer you have between hyper cutters. That helped him a lot. But again, it's just you have to be very creative, and it's just hard. It's a hard time. But he's really good. Just a little bit overhyped right now, to be honest. In my opinion, I could be very wrong. That's just me. Uh, as for Archer, I think Archer actually got better. I again Archer, along with like Meta Knight, Magalore, they have a move that's coming that we haven't revealed, haven't worked on. Just like them, Archer has one. But the thing with Archer is Archer's still solid. He got a lot of buffs, some nerfs like 6 JB and all that. But overall, this really benefited him, for sure, for sure. So I would say he's just around like below Ninja, maybe above Ninja. It's somewhere in there. Still struggles a little bit under pressure, but things like double jump canceling will help quite a bit um, to get out of those situations. Bomb, I think, is a character that's on the lower end. I would say like around where Gui is. Still has some of the same struggles. Just Bomb hitbox is better now, and like overall, the like the quality of life changes that were given to Bomb are good. Bomb is a much better character uh, than it was before, and that's why it's around where Gui is, despite Gui not having changed that much, although just having some nerfs. So like if this was KF2, like the regular KF2, I would put Bomb in like top like 12 or like top 10 characters even. Um, but the bar is pretty high. Bomb is fine for now, but we'll still struggle with a lot of the same stuff, unfortunately. Wrestler, already talked about him. Sword buddy. I think Sword is actually mid. Do not think he's among the A or S tiers, but I do think he's solidly in B tier. He's just got a good projectile, solid mix-up game. Not super good range, but like decent. Like it's there. Some good tools. Like all his moves are pretty good now. Nothing too bad. So I think Sword is perfectly fine. I do think that like if he didn't have his projectile, he would just be in C tier. Because that really does push him over the edge. Like he could just he is a Shoto. He will force you to come to him and then Shoryuken if you jump. So that's just how it is. Um, Whip, extremely scary character. I personally put Whip like right here, like around where Ninja is. I do think as the meta develops, you'll find some Whip some Whip specific DIs where you can get out of their setups and stuff. But not only is Whip longer range now in terms of jab, in terms of dash attack goes further. Uh, Tipper brings you in. Whip is just extremely scary. Uh, if you don't SDI out of Tornado, you get a lot of damage from that, which is easier to set up now because you can do it from Tipper jab. So Whip gets rewarded for spacing. And then just in general, it's just a character that doesn't have to deal with as many problems as it once did. Again, because of a better burst option and a little bit better range, as well as just the mechanics of the game, like double jump canceling, I think are going to be really important for Whip in the long run. Let's look at King Dedede. I think he's not that great. I think he's fine. I think he's good. Again, everyone in C tier is good. But I just don't see him at that level where it's like, oh, like the A tiers, the S tiers, even like the B tiers, like Sword. I don't see him joining those ranks yet. Um, Having a frame one reversal is really good. Having a better projectile is really good, and of course, DDD damage it's insane. So maybe I'll just be like, hey, you know what? You need to be up in B tier, buddy. But for now, I'm gonna keep him kind of in that C tier range, still good, but not amazing. But who knows? Maybe he'll prove me wrong. I haven't fought Dedede a lot in this in the beta, or even as playtesting. But he seems fine. I mean, he's still way better than regular Dedede in KF2. Hammer. I think Hammer is scary. I think Hammer is not like incredible, but I think I would put Hammer around like the top of B tier. Hammer still struggles with a lot of the same stuff, where you kind of have that issue with getting in a little bit, just because like you lack range. But things like double jump canceling, like speed art, like shield cancel or crouch cancel or whatever with the side B, help him so much that I think this character is just like at that level where he's almost cracking. I could see him A tier, honestly, if you master the use of uh, speed art. I think he's just gonna be great. Like lightweight Hammer is going to be a great character if you can control him properly as it should be. So I'm hyped to see what Hammer will do in the future, for sure, for sure. Staff is a character I have questions about. I think Staff has the potential for A tier easily, and in fact, I'll even put Staff above Hammer. Because I do think, and by the way, I think like B is like mid tier. Like I don't really think there's a low tier. Um, so even if it looks like Staff is mid or whatever, I think it's kind of like this mid tier, but really like high tier level abilities. Staff just has so many more options now between like Pogo, keeping you in the air. In fact, yeah, you know what? Screw it. Staff is really good. I'll put Staff like right above Archer. Staff is crazy. Like I've played staff, just a little bit, or against staff just a little bit. Um, Yesterday I played with Theo and not so great internet, but it's fine. Parsec has its issues, but it was hard. Like I had a hard time trying to combat what the character was doing, since you can pogo and do whatever else you want. You don't have to do that one move, and you can also threaten that move at any point when you are in the air. So it's extreme. If you could just do two max, but it's extremely scary, and I think the character is around this range. I do not think he's maybe like better than Ninja in like Whip maybe, but I don't see him sneaking into the top five. I think the top five is kind of easy-ish to say at this point for me. It's that like Meta Knight, Water, Fighter, and then slightly under them, Cutter and Mag, and then slightly under those like Whip, Ninja, etc. If someone put a gun to my head, I would be like, put Cutter and Mag in like A plus or like S minus or whatever. But I deleted that tier, so I'm not going back to fix it. Nope. But yeah, so staff is crazy. I want to fight staff more in the future, and I'm really excited to see what the staff players bring to the table. As for Bandana Dee, which is the last character we'll talk about today, I think Dee is really great. I don't think he's like amazing or anything, like top five contender. But I think he's solidly an A tier. And as you can see, like a lot of characters are an A tier. There's just a lot of characters are really good. D is scary because if you play correctly, then you have obviously the projectiles are destructible, but they still have that hitbox there. So you basically have like an assist on the field. On some stages that are low ceiling, like Factory, Haldera, especially, Wattlecopter is extremely scary because you could just get like 100 damage if you get a bunch of tippers. So that's kind of tough to deal with. His range in general, his frame data has been buffed. His 2B is a better approach option because it's also been buffed in terms of frame data. It leaves a spear behind that has a hitbox. This character can definitely rise up. I would even be tempted to say he might be a little bit better than this, along like staff. Might be a little bit better than where I'm putting him right now. But I think this is a safe bet. Again, outside of like Cutter and Mag, I don't think A tier has like a lot of difference to it. But we'll see. I'm really excited to see how it develops. Hopefully we'll get the other 6 characters soon. But for now, these have been kind of my early impressions of the characters. Again, this is like in the beta kind of playtesting world. So this is like super early. But yeah, I mean, leave me your thoughts below. Maybe you hard disagree. Maybe you hard agree. Maybe you think that, Cutter should be the best, which you probably do, even though I don't think that's correct. Maybe you think that GUI is still really good, which, maybe he is. And again, all of these characters are still really good. But yeah, so subscribe if you want to see more community edition content for Kirby Fighters 2. And it's been a good one. Thank you for watching, and have yourself a good one.